Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. I'm your host, Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and it is truly an honor to be before you this evening. Before we start the show, I want to ask everybody to please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And on YouTube, if you press the notification button, you can be alerted to upcoming shows as they become available. Now, let's introduce tonight's guest. Mr. Wes Albritton is the owner, CEO, and founder of the Dad's Empowerment Network called The D.E.N. It's a place for fathers to find resources needed to excel through life. So help me give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, Mr. Wes Albritton.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Wes, how are you?
I'm good, man. Good, blessed, and highly favored.
Amen. Me too. Thank you for saying yes for letting me interview you.
Oh, anytime.
Yeah, I had found out from one of our previous guests, Jeffrey LaPreed, on what you were doing. You get shipped.
Yeah,
There
there
you
we go.
go.
My bad. I'm
There you
sorry about
go.
that.
Jeffrey had told me about your your company that you were building and told me a little bit about what it was about. And so I gave you a call and I thought it was interesting and wanted to share it with our viewers. So we're going to start the interview by letting you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, a little bit about me. I'm a born and raised native here in Atlanta. Definitely a proud father at that. I was in the Marines. I went to the Marines in 2004, 2006. Definitely a Mason. Love my brothers and everything like that. Man, went to Dunwoody High School here. So graduated 2003. So that was the biggest thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Traveled the world as a Delta flight attendant, done some
Yeah.
things, and definitely a man about business. So that's me in a nutshell.
So how was the Marines? What made you want to go into the Marines out of all the branches?
So the biggest thing for me, I did 4 years ROTC, right? But it was the Air
Oh,
Force. So prior to going to the Marine Corps, I was actually homeless for a year. So I stayed in the car for a year.
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, that's all good. So I had my son on the way, which he's 17 now, and so I had to make a decision what I was going to do. So I ended up going to the Marines. I wanted a challenge. I wanted something that's going to instill some type of self discipline, some type of confidence and whatnot. So
Mhm.
I want a challenge. Let me challenge myself, and that's what I did. I went to the Marine Corps.
Yeah, the Marine is definitely a challenge. I have some family members that are
Yeah,
Marines, and they are very unique individuals. Let me just put, let me just,
right.
but they always tell me it's a brotherhood like none other. So let's talk a little bit about you being homeless. Um, what was it during that time that really that you grabbed a hold to kind of climb out of that situation that you were in?
Um, the biggest thing about me is my faith, right?
Mhm.
I've been called, so to speak, since I was a kid. So even doing spending that time in the car for that year, I'm saying, a lot of time to think, a lot of time to just kind of progress some things. It wasn't that I gave up, because I
Right.
still was working jobs, but I wasn't making enough to sustain a living, right?
Hmm.
So like I said, man, once I found out that my son was on the way, I knew I couldn't just not do anything. And the best step for me was to go and get something more stable, more concrete, and allow me the opportunity to at least be not, if not the best dad, but a proper dad to my son.
Hmm.
Uh, I always tell the story, man. It was unintentional.
Hmm.
I had went to the barbershop that normally cut my hair. He cut my hair since I was maybe about 8 or 9 years old. Um, and I went there and I said, "Hey man, let me just sweep your floor for a couple dollars." You know what I'm saying? He was like, "Hey man, I'm pretty booked. I got a guy already." And it was a guy. He was cutting his hair. He was like, "Man, you want a job?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Come to my office." So he pulls out this card, and I see the Marine Corps emblem on it and everything. I just look at it. I was like, "All right, okay." So the next morning, I go to the Marine Corps recruiting depot, and I said, all right, what you got for me? But I'm not here to join the military. I'm just letting you know that now. So me and him kind of talked about what was going on and whatnot, and I sat on it for a while, and then eventually I went back and I said, all right, let's go, let's do it. And so that's what made me become a Marine.
Yeah. Good decision. My son is in the Army, high demand.
Yeah.
And school is not for everybody.
Right.
And then you have, a 4-year university, you have 2-year university, you have vocational, right? And then you have the military. And
Right.
I think it's so important to allow kids to find their way instead of trying to push them into something that you want them to be. I think it's very important to allow them to find their way, right? And so my son, he worked a little bit before he went into the Army, chose the Army, which was a good choice because I'm an Army brat. So we're Army, we're military families. So it made my mom, it just touched her heart when he chose the Army, because she kept saying he's following in the footsteps of his grandfather. So yeah. Some kids need the military, so they don't need to count it out.
Right. I tell people all the time, man. It was a great experience for what it was. Some people make it a lifelong commitment. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot from the time that I was there. But I ended up going to college after the military. So I had the opportunity to do both.
Yeah, and it going into the military has its benefits.
Right.
Right. So let's talk about you being a flight attendant. Tell us about that experience. Man, to me, that is awesome.
So, all right, man, everybody knows about flight attendants, right? It's kind of like one of the coveted jobs in America. I just so happened to have the opportunity to fly with Delta Airlines. Great company, great people. I made some great friends, traveled to some great places. But let's be honest here. There's not a lot of straight male black flight attendants in that particular field.
Okay.
And so just being a straight male black flight attendant, man, it was an honor. It was a privilege. I met so many great people, made some connections, some employees, some customers, and everything. I tell people all the time when I go and speak, because I do that when I get opportunity to, to find a career or find something that you enjoy. And the best way to find out if you enjoy it is to test yourself. Okay. And what I did was for like 30 days, I didn't use an alarm clock. No alarm clock, whatever. And what I was finding is that I was waking up, like I knew I had to go to work the next morning. I knew I had a flight. I would wake up before it was time for me to go to work, be on time, be excited about getting there, flying those flights, going those places, doing those layovers. And I was like, yeah, this is me. But definitely everything comes to an end. So I came out of the skies in 2019.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it. It was great. Definitely great.
Where was the best place that you have ever flown to while you were working as a flight attendant?
Man, I gotta say Johannesburg, South Africa, man.
Oh,
It was awesome. One of the longest flights in the system, 16 and a half hours. You get a 6-hour break. You actually do breakfast, lunch, and dinner on there. And to go over there and do the safari, it was awesome. It was a great experience. That's my strong one. My number 2 would be Seoul, Korea. And that one holds close and dear to my heart because my brother Robin Reese, he was stationed over there in Seoul, Korea, and we call it the greatest pull-up in history. So I had the vacation days, and I decided to take a flight over there, 14 and a half hours, flew from Detroit. And I got there, and I got in my Airbnb, and I said, hey, bro, I guarantee you'll never know where I am right now. He was like, I don't know, it's dark. And I turned the camera around and showed him downtown Seoul, man. And he lost it, man. He cried. And, that's my brother. I love him to life, man. Hey, man, if you're watching, man, I love you, bro.
Oh, wow. Now, that's a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, and those are memories, like you said, you cherish them.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so let's talk about the den.
100%.
Tell me and the viewers, how you came up with the idea of the den, and then I'll ask you some other questions.
Cool. So yeah, this one is kind of lengthy. Um, so the Dad's Empowerment Network, what it is I took what I normally see on social media from all the information and whatnot, and I wanted to make it tangible for dads. So I wanted to give them opportunity to have the access to find attorneys that specify in father's law and family law, but specify for dads specifically. I also wanted to find counselors because I understand that mental health is big in Black men, and a lot of people don't realize that Black men, as far as when it comes down to the family law aspect, we struggle a lot with suicide, with feeling depression, feeling down, not feeling wanted. You know, we go through not only a financial struggle, but an emotional struggle, a mental struggle as well. So it's just taking up all those components and just putting it into one tangible nutshell to where dads can be able to come and they're able to actually go to a building, work out, so they're empowering their bodies. They can be able to log onto a computer and get a counseling session with a virtual counseling session with some counselors, talk to some lawyers. And then the biggest thing for me, I told you I'm big on my faith, you know, and I want to attract dads, not only just on the Christian side, but on the Muslim side, Buddhist, whatever you are, be able to go to the back. You have a meditation room, a spiritual room, a prayer wall, whatever you need. I want to be able to just attract all type of dads and be able to do that. So how did I get there? I got there. It took about, I want to say roughly 2 years. So everybody know I got 5 kids, 5 beautiful kids. But man, when I own it. I made some bad decisions in life, and some bad choices. But those
Mm-hmm.
bad choices gave me 5 beautiful children.
Mm-hmm.
Very intelligent, athletic, gymnasts, you name it. They're awesome. My baby mom, which shall remain nameless to protect all the other good stuff.
That's all right.
When I say she drugged me through the mud, man. So, um, she kept my kids from me for 8 months. So didn't know where they were. Uh, just knew they were here in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So had to find an investigator. Next thing you know, I get a letter in the mail saying that, oh, you got to go to court for child support. So I'm like, man, nah, I'm not doing that. So I went to the courts, and I was thinking, kept trying to figure out what can I do to handle it. And I got to the child support court, and it was like, yeah, Mr. Albritton, you got to pay this in child support, this, that, and the third, so on and so forth. But for me, I did my research, and I understood that child support is it's a private sector, meaning it has nothing to do with state law. It's just private. So what dads need to know is that you can supersede that by the Superior Court of State, Georgia, or wherever you are, and you can supersede that. So what I did was I went to Superior Court of Georgia and I filed a petition for legitimation. So I took that to the child support
Wow.
court. Yeah, took that to the child support court, and I was like, yeah, right, I'm not paying that. I want visitation for my kids first. How about that? And so I did that, and then so going through that long process of going through the legitimation process, the back and forth, the financial toil, the mental toil, it was just a tug of war. You know, a lot of people don't understand how emotionally driven that family law is. It's not that the person is a bad parent or whatever. It's because that person has an emotional attachment to that person, and because
Right.
they're separated, it's an emotional war. It's not really
Right.
anything other than that. So that was number one. Um, so in 2017, I was in a relationship, and my baby mom, she helped ruin that relationship, was doing some stuff. She teamed up with my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend at the time. They teamed up and started doing some conspiracy stuff, and they
Wow.
broke us up. So I went through one of the hardest breakups of my life. Got ran over by a car that year. So there's that.
Wait, so
And
you,
then,
you went through a breakup and you got ran over by a car?
yes, my ex ran me over with a car. So that's another thing. So you got
Is it?
that.
But wait. But isn't that assault?
Yes, I'll go back on that later.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm just asking. Okay.
We'll talk about the
Wow.
assault. We'll definitely talk about the assault. Yes, that is definitely assault. So went through that, and 90 days later, not I kid you not, 90 days later, my baby mom hits me uh on May 8th. Said I no, I'm sorry. The end of April said I was held into contempt of court. So I never forget it. So I go to court May 8th. I never forget it. And they were saying that I picked my kids up too early, right? That was the whole reason for the contempt of court. So on the document, it says that I have to pick my kids up at 6:30 on a Friday at said location. So at 6:30 p.m., we would meet or whatever case may be. But me and her had, kind of, had an idea, okay, cool. Well, I ain't got to see you. You don't have to see me. I'll just get them from school. She let me pick them up from school. So I was picking them up at 5:30. Picked the kids up at 5:30. Did this for like 2 months. So uh, she gets mad, and then she files a contempt of court. So I'm in court. Let me paint this picture for you. I get to court. I have everything I need from the school saying that it was okay for me to pick these kids up at 5:30. I have my statement and everything. When I walked in, the judge was a black female. The bailiffs were two black females. My baby mom was a black female, and her attorney was a black female. I was the only black male in the room.
Wow.
So she gets up there. She's, oh my God, he picked him up early and this, that, and the third, and gave this big crocodile sob story. And the judge was like, well, Mr. Albritton, what do you have to say? I said, well, yes, Your Honor, the school let me do it. This, that, third, his paperwork. The judge looked at me and says, Mr. Albritton, I don't care what the school allowed you to do. The order says 6:30. I don't care if it's 6:29 or 6:31. You pick those kids up at
Wow.
6:30. Bailiff, take them away. Yes, the two black female bailiffs, when they came up to me and put me in handcuffs, they were smiling. I will never forget it. I'm in Delta flight attendant uniform, and they were smiling, putting handcuffs on me. And I spent time in jail for picking my kids up too early. So that sent me into a downward spiral to where not only I went through a breakup, I did jail time and just going through some other things. So I attempted suicide. So I took 13 aspirin, and I was done. Didn't tell anybody, didn't tell my parents, didn't tell nobody. I said, you know what, I'm done.
Now, this was after you got out, right?
Yes,
You bonded
yes,
out and you
yes,
got
yes,
out. Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay.
So that was like, I'm done. Did suicide. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm slumped over. I'm foaming at the mouth. And my homie, I hope he's watching, Leggett, we played football together. He rode a scooter from Fairburn to Riverdale, Georgia, because he didn't hear from me. And he opened the door and he saw me slumped over, called 911. They pumped my stomach and everything. Went through counseling and everything. And during that time, I had to get back to West, right? I had to get back to counseling. I had to get back to my faith walk. I had to get back to just everything. And did that, and it hit me. The Dad's Empowerment Network. It was God had hit me with the vision. It hit me with the dream. He said, all right, what I want you to do is I want you to create the D.E.N. I'm like, man, what is that? What is it? And I came up with the acronym, the Dad's Empowerment Network. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so when you think of a den, you think of the Wolves Den, the Lions Den. It's a place where the alphas, they go and they pretty much they strategize for hunting, they rest. That's where they gather. It's a meeting place for just the animals to just do the family business. So
Mm-hmm.
what I wanted to do was I wanted to bring men together to where we have a safe haven and we can soften the blow, that what they did with family law, what they did with suicide, they did with counselors and stuff like that. And so it not only with my story,
Mm-hmm.
but with other guys like my boy Nate Washington, who jumped off the bridge on Memorial Drive, some
Wow.
guys I played semi-pro football with, everybody that I know that has unfortunately completed the process of suicide. This is what it's for. is so that I can help dads and give them something tangible that we can have events throughout the year. We can check on each other and just, because we don't have anything. It's so much things out here for women and black
Right.
and moms and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
we have nothing really for dads, so it's just dear to my heart that I want to do something for dads,
Yeah. So let me thank you for telling your story and with the vivid details. I really appreciate that because I think that by you being transparent, it's going to help other people when they see this I will say this broadcast, but
Yeah, yeah.
when they see this video, this show. I wanted to ask a question about. I want to go back a little bit when you said you went to
Let's do it.
court, when you were served, and then you went to court, right?
Yeah.
Now, did you have an attorney at the time when you went?
No, I did not. Not at the time, no.
Okay. And do you think if you would have had one, that would have helped you through the process?
You talking about when I went to jail for picking the kids up too early?
Yes, because because you said that she had called you and said that you were going to go to jail for contempt, and then
Oh,
you had to
yeah.
go to court.
Yeah, I think honestly, if I'm speaking, I think if I would have got an attorney, I would have been okay. But see, that's the thing though, right? So I didn't know that she was bringing an attorney to there. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh, okay, gotcha.
you know what I'm saying? So it was more so I'm thinking it's just a conversation between me and her,
Right,
and whatnot. And I mean, I can definitely she got hers
right.
later on that year in August. It took another judge, believe it or not, in, um, and they're trying to change. I'll say that it's almost like racism, but yeah, they're trying to change. But I believe if I did have an attorney, it probably would have ended a little bit different.
Yeah, and I think what people also need to know. My story is not that detailed, but I am a divorcee, and so I've been through the court system in a little bit.
Yeah,
And what people need to know is that you think that the judge is supposed to serve on the bench and be unbiased, right, in their ruling.
right.
But a lot of times, depending on the stories that they hear and depending on what it triggers, right, is how they
Mm-hmm.
make their ruling, right?
Right.
Because very,
Mm-hmm.
very seldom have I gone to court. And if I have seen, or sometimes you just watch the court shows, right?
Yep.
You see that rulings. Is it based on the law, or is it based on something that it triggered, or is it based on your bias,
Right.
right? And that's sad that I know when you walked in there and you saw all those women and you were the only man, I know you were like, I'm done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Automatic.
Yeah.
Automatic.
Yeah. I had I'm gonna tell you this right quick. So I had a situation where I had to go to court here in Rockdale County, and it was dealing with a tenant. Okay. And so the tenant had messed up the plumbing system. Let's say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the tenant was suing me. Now I had thousands of dollars worth of damage to this home, but the tenant was suing me because they wanted their $1,000 earnest money back, right?
Wow.
And I walk up in the court. I have documentation. I'm thinking it's a slam dunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell something was off
Wasn't right
between the judge
excuse me
and I guess the other
the
person,
defendant
the plaintiff,
defendant.
the defendant, right? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I was defending the plaintiff. But anyway, it just something wasn't right. And
Right.
so when I presented the documents, she was very, I'm kind of mad because I voted for the lady, but she was very nasty to me. She was
Wow.
nasty. And she ended up telling me that I think this was in 2017, 2018. And what I didn't know was that when you go to court for things of that nature, is that they will not, but see again, I think this is her, right? Because I think that if I got another judge, it wouldn't have went this way. But she said that the documentation in her court, the documentation doesn't weigh. I should have brought the physical person as a witness that wrote the document, and then she would have believed him. But because I had a documentation, I had, shown the bills of what I paid, she said that didn't matter to her. She hit that gavel. I had lost.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think to kind of piggyback off that, I think it's the biggest thing, and it goes back to my story, right? I remember I told you, I went to jail for picking my kids up too early, had a black female judge. In August, we went back to court because she had complained about something else. This time it was a white female judge. The very first case, and she claimed that I was doing some stuff to my kids and so on and so forth. Had CPS come check my house out, come check me out. And the white judge was like, you know what? I tell you what, Miss So-and-so, I see you have a habit of bringing him in here.
See?
He want to see his kids. He's been doing a good job. The CPS said he's doing a good job. I tell you what, next time I see you in this courtroom, I'm going to send you to jail. And so, yeah. And so when I say that courtroom stood up with clapping, I was crying. I'm like, oh, thank you, God. But, I think I'm so serious. Like that white lady was like, hey, yeah, I tell you what, next time I see you come in my courtroom with him in here, you going next time. I ain't been to court since.
Are you?
And
see, but that goes back to my point, right?
Yeah.
That there is the law, right? And then there's their interpretation of the law, right? So it's two totally different things,
right?
Because the other judge should have seen it.
100%.
Right? Okay. 100%. Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. So let's talk about you and going through your mental health. Right? Let's talk a little bit about that, because I think it's very important for people to see, to hear from a young black male. You told us what you went through, but let's talk about how you may have reached out to resources and what did you do to kind of deal with the place that you were in and to deal with your mental health.
The biggest thing for me when it comes down to mental health, right? I think you got to kind of understand what it is and what goes on. A lot of people don't know that 3 out of 5 black men actually think about suicide, right? And 1 out of those 3 actually complete the process when it comes to suicide. And most of that, in some cases, are driven by family law, loss of jobs, and then also anything other than drug habits, stuff like that. So you have pivotal factors that contribute to, mental health and, getting to suicide and stuff like that.
Right.
So going through my stages, I think it was just me being surrounded, by my brothers, being surrounded by my family, being surrounded by, my counselors, my pastor, Eric Walker, guys like, my boy, Bo, Jeff, all my guys that I hang out with, grew a bond with, man. And they kind of helped me get through it. And I think that's why we're so close in it today. And a lot of people don't understand that, you know what I'm saying? They don't understand the family portion of it, because they're on the outside looking in. And I think if you want to get past a mental health crisis, I think the first thing is acknowledgement. You got to acknowledge where you are, you know what I'm saying? And if you cannot realize where you are, then you need help to figure out where you are.
Right.
And then it's accountability, saying, okay, you know what? I'm here. I may have put myself here, or whatever case it be, or whatever I did wrong, or whatever case it be, got me here. Now let me get help. And then assistance. So you got to get the assistance part and be able to go out there, seek those counselors, seek those friends, seek those, if you're religious, the pastors, the bishops, whatever it is that you find your deity focusing on, you got to be able to do those things and help you get yourself out of it. And for me, like I said, I mean, it took work. it took work, going to counseling every week, praying, meditating, getting back to doing what I love. I remember my return to the skies, because I was down and out for a minute, and I didn't return to the skies until June, till May, the end of May. And my first flight was to London. Never forget it. F5, I think. We was leaving out of F5, and I was headed to London. I was on a 777. Nope, I'm sorry, 767-400. Never forget it. And I was working the flight, and as I was walking up to the gate, normally as a flight attendant, I mean, you got on a 3-piece suit, you clean, this your show.
Yeah.
Man, I saw these people, and I looked at the gate, and I realized what gate it was, and I'm going down the jet bridge, and I'm bawling, I'm crying, and the person, which is a flight leader, she was like, "Wes, you all right?" I was like, "Just give me a minute, let me go in the bathroom, get myself together," and that was because the tears were because of what I went through, how I overcome it. And that I had the ability to be able to be back on the plane in front of those people doing something that I love. And it's just, even now, man, it's I'm good, you know what I'm saying? But I still go to mental health stuff. I still, you know what I'm saying, do my counseling session. I still talk to my longtime friend, Pastor Eric Walker, you know what I'm saying, and some of my new birth family. The Terrys, how you doing? If y'all watching, the Smiths, the Pringles who helped me get through it, the Zimmermans, everybody from the deacon board, everybody that helped me get through, all the tough times that I went through. And and I think those are the important pieces that you need to get over, mental health.
Yeah, you and I are a member of the same church.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that counseling ministry is awesome, because I have gone through some things, Wes, and I'm telling you, if it wasn't for those people in that counseling ministry, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, and some of them still contact me to this day, right? Just to check in. It's so important to have a support, to have I was going to say a support group, right? Of people that, like you said, that can love you through it and hold you accountable for things. It is so important. So let me ask you this. So through everything that you've gone through, did you ever have to change your circle of friends?
Yeah, all the time. All the time. I'm trying to make sure I say it right. One of the biggest things about life is that you never want to be the smartest person in the room, right? So if you're trying to go somewhere, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. If you're trying to, be a billionaire, why you hang around with a bunch of millionaires? You know what I'm saying? If you're already a millionaire, you want to learn how to be a billionaire. So the biggest thing for me was, as I begin to develop, you know what I'm saying, as I began to transition, I went from just partying all the time and just doing those things to being able to just fellowship, change my circles, get into the counseling side, and get into, just, being with my friends and circling myself around people that were business minded, that were business owners, that, just motivated me to do better. So it wasn't that, my friends weren't who they were. It's just I outgrew those friends.
Right.
It's like outgrowing shoes, right? So you got to kind of change yourself into a new pair of shoes and walk into a different destiny. My circle of friends always changed. Even the friends that I have now, like I said, most of them are married. Most of them are business owners. We propel ourselves. We get together. We call ourselves the Wolf Gang. And that's just because of who we are, man, and how we do things. I'm proud of my circle that I have and the fellowship that I have, and I'm thankful for those guys every day.
Yeah. It's always good to have a good support group around you. One thing I've noticed is that the more I have gotten into business and just trying to be a better overall person, the smaller my circle has gotten. Right. And there's a lot of wealthy people that have said that it's lonely at the top, and now I totally understand. why they say that, right? Because, some of them say that the air is very thin, the altitude, and that, everybody can't go. But I totally get it, right? Because, it's kind of frustrating when you have to continuously explain your vision, or, what you're trying to do, your vision, with other people that can't see it.
Right.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What can people do? Because you've been through it, you've been through the melt, it's an ongoing process, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I want you to make an appeal to the viewers and tell us, what can people do to help their friends and family members dealing with mental health issues?
The biggest thing, man, it's what I can say is you got to be present. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that it takes a phone call all the time, or you always got to be at their house or something like that. But just understanding where they are, meeting them where they are, and being present in the moment.
Mhm.
Um, like I go back to my story. One of my good friends, like I said, been playing football together since '07. He played cornerback for me, and we had a good time. And he knew that if he hasn't heard from me at a certain point in time, that he reach out and stuff like that. So you got to kind of understand what your pattern is.
Right.
So if hey man, I haven't heard from this guy, or I haven't seen him post on Facebook, or I haven't seen him do anything active, let me check on him. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So shoot him a text, give him a call, run by the house. A lot of people, we've gotten, especially now with the pandemic, we've gotten to where we're just isolated. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And we're afraid to still check on people. And one of the biggest things is too, you know, um, most people that contemplate suicide, they don't really talk about it.
No.
They don't really post it like that. So the only people that would know are the people that's not on that computer or not on that phone. Just the people that's in that inner circle, and the people that they trust, to be in that inner circle. So if you have the privilege to be in that inner circle, man, be vigilant, and definitely put out what's given. You know what I'm saying? So if that person's giving you loyalty, showing up at your house, and this, that, and the third, so on and so forth, return it back so that you can see and you can notice the difference. And don't be afraid to talk. We get to a point to where we can't talk, we can't express our feelings, and a lot of people don't understand us as men. It's very hard for us to talk. You know what I'm saying? And the reason being is because you got to think about it. From the time you're like 2 or 3 years old, you're taught, you better not cry, get up, rub it off, walk it off. You're taught to be tough and emotionally unavailable and not be vulnerable and not to actually go through those. Oh, if it's a skin knee, not to cry, right? And then all of a sudden you turn 18 and you're supposed to tell people how you feel. You're supposed to
Yeah.
be emotional in a relationship. You're supposed to be this emotional guru.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Okay, I see
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yeah, I got you. You're back.
I can't hear you though.
You can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Uh-oh. Well, he's going to be back on. So we are talking to Wes Albritton, the owner, CEO, and founder of the D.E.N, the Dad's Empowerment Network. I think we got him back. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I got you now. I can hear you
All right.
now.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
What was I saying?
I forgot.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. No, I was just saying, man, being present, and being there, in the circle, man. That's what it really boils down to, and just it's hard for us to go from, not being emotional for 18 years, then all of a sudden, you expect us to be these emotional gurus and talk about how we feel and stuff like that. So if you ask a guy, hey, how you doing? I'm all right. Okay, yeah, no, he's not all right. So the biggest thing is that um uh what I want to say is always ask how you're really doing. I think that's the biggest part, is ask how
Yeah.
you really doing versus how you
Instead of
doing.
how you're doing. Right. Yeah. You know, there's people that know you and there's people that,
Dang,
can you hear
hold on.
me?
I can't.
Uh-oh. Did some is someone else on your Wi-Fi? Uh-oh. We lost them again. I'm going to ask everyone to put your comments if you have any comments. Send us your comments. Also, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And when he comes back on, um, let's see. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
If you had any addition people to the Wi-Fi, that's probably what it is.
no, my mom's calling me. Remember I
Oh,
told you. Remember I told you
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
before the show. My aunt, she's
Yeah.
unresponsive. So the family's probably just calling,
Right.
trying to figure out if I know. But yeah. So hey, man, if you guys are watching, please shoot a prayer out to my family, for my aunt, man. So I appreciate y'all for watching. But we're back. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. But yeah, I was saying that you have some people that know you and some people that know of you, right?
Yeah.
And being able to pick up on clues of people that you're around often really
Mm-hmm.
shows whether you truly know that person,
Right.
right? Because just like you were saying that your friend knew that if he hadn't talked to you or heard from you within a certain amount of time, that's somebody that's in tune with you. And
Right.
I think a lot of times we're around people that are really not in tune
Right.
with us, right? And sometimes, depending on what's going on with us, we're not really in tune with other people that we should be in tune with, right? And there's a difference in being present, being around people and being present, there's a difference. And in this pandemic, in this time, it is like you said, it's so important for you to be present with people, and we've had what, a year and a half to spend closed down and hunker down with people,
Yeah.
and we should know people, especially our loved ones, a little bit better than we did before, right? So, we know that the D.E.N, the Dad's Empowerment Network, is something that you have started. You're cultivating. You're on the ground floor with it, right? And so, tell us, what are some resources that you are needing? I know you were saying that you're trying to connect some lawyers, trying to connect some therapists. What are some services that you are wanting to offer to the dads in the den?
Well, the biggest thing is okay. So the very first thing is I'm trying to get a space, right? Because I remember I told you I wanted them to be able to have a tangible place to go to.
Right.
But before we get to that, let's work backwards.
Okay.
So the biggest thing is I definitely want attorneys that have the passion and the drive to want to support and to defend fathers.
Okay.
You have some lawyers out there that are great, however, they're there just to do family law, and they don't necessarily understand that or have a desire to defend fathers and understand that fathers actually get railroaded in this system. And it's not any type of I want to say cultural specific, because there's all types of fathers that get railroaded. And so I want to be able to just give them that opportunity where they can go into the Dad's Empowerment Network. These are the trusted lawyers that are willing to fight for you. I'm not guaranteeing a win because I can't do that, but they're going to do their best to defend you to the best that they can.
Right.
I want to find some counselors who are definitely want to and understand men's health, men's mental health. You know what I'm saying? Because that's different. Again, you know what I'm saying? You have so many different things for women which are outstanding and stuff like that. But I just want to put the microscope on men and mental health and get those counselors that want to help Black men, white men, all kind of men that wants to be a part of Dad's Empowerment Network and want to see it grow. Also, I definitely need dads, need volunteer dads. I got a lot of different events coming up this year. So I'm going to need some volunteer dads. Finances, of course. We always are looking for support. I definitely, man, on Monday, man, I got the opportunity to actually start the process for my grant. Man, that was man, when I say your brothers look out for you, your brothers look out for you, man. I'll share that story if we got time. but I needed some finances to get my grant started, and it came through with some sorrows. I'm sorry, yeah, some sorrows and some bros from whatever, and they did their thing, and they looked out, man, and I'm thankful for just being where I am, what I'm saying. So anything will help, what I'm saying, from just people showing up, what I'm saying, being at the events, being with me, showing up, donating. Like I got an event coming up in April, the Boys in Blue. I'm gonna need wallets. I need, because I'm trying to give kids wallets and teach them about finances and stuff like that, and police brutality and stuff. So definitely donate wallets. Definitely need that. So it's just those are just some of the small things that I need at this moment.
Okay, because I know we have Malika. She was asking what was next for the D.E.N. She said she heard there's an event coming up.
All right, so man, so what's next? What I got, man. So the very first event that I got coming up is March 27th. It's at 1 p.m. at 451 Bishop Street. That's the Iron
Okay.
Cuts Barber Den. And it's doing March Madness. What I did was I wanted to take something, and I wanted to talk, in our safe haven. Dads and men, we go to the barbershop to have our talk.
Right.
Ladies go to the salon, right?
Right.
So it's barbershop talk. I got the idea from when I did a motivational speaking for Clark Atlanta about barbershop talk. And the topic of discussion is maternal gatekeeping, talking about the effects of when moms keep the kids from their dads, use them as pawns, the long-term effect, the psychological effect,
Yeah.
the financial effect, and just how it affects us as men. And giving us the opportunity to sit down in the barber chair, get shape-ups, haircuts, and stuff like that, fellowship. In April, I told you, got the Boys in Blue event.
Right.
In June, of course, you got the daddy-daughter dance. That's a father's love. I'm doing that. What else I got? July, that's one of my biggest events because it's a 4-week event to where I'm going to take the rods and reels and tackle boxes and stuff like that. And I want to be able to teach, the young men how to fish and spend time with their dads and stuff like that. And when they leave the event, I want them to be able to take the rods and reels with them. You know what I'm saying? So that's the Youth Christ Catch. And then September, I have Dealing with Pride. That is one that's close and dear to me.
Tell us about that one.
Dealing with Pride, man, is I'm looking for a panel of everybody from the LGBTQ community. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a conversation about how dads deal with that conversation of finding out that their child is gay, transgender, bi, or whatever the case may be, and how to correctly to have that conversation, how to not tear them down, how to build that bond, repair that relationship, how to better understand the movement, the emotions, and everything behind it, and being able to just bridge that gap, because I think it's important. A lot of times the community feels separated because the dads don't speak up and say, you know what, I may not approve it, but I love you and I still accept you as my child. Right. And so Dealing with Pride is going to be a big event for me. I'm excited about it. Definitely need people for that. I got the single dad toy drive. So I want to, if you're a single dad out there, I want to be able to give you some toys and stuff like that for Christmas and stuff. So we're working on that. And I got some other events. Speaking of which, I got to give this shout out, man. My team has been doing a great job. We looked at quite a few people, and my event plan is a Destiny of Events. Go check her out. She's up and coming. She's doing a great job. She's handling the workload and whatnot. She's on Instagram.
And what's her name again?
Destiny of Events. That's the her name is Dorian Miller. But she's a Destiny of Events on Instagram, and so appreciate it, definitely.
Yeah, I love to meet her.
Cool.
Yeah, and I want to let you know we have Jay that wanted to send prayers out to your family.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
And we have Malika that said, this is so good. Thanks for sharing your gift and vision with the world.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
We have a lot of great comments tonight on the show. A lot you can go back and read them. But yeah, I think that what you're putting together is definitely needed. And you can watch it on YouTube, you see it on the news. There's so many stories about fathers that are really, really trying to do right, by their children. And do right by themselves and do right by their children. And they just don't know where to go. They don't know, they don't have the resources. You can't hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Uh-oh. I gotta go back out and come back out again.
Uh-oh. Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Wes will be right back. We're interviewing Wes Albritton, the CEO and founder of the D.E.N, the Dad's Empowerment Network.
What happened?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, what happened? It just blacked out.
I told you it pulls a lot of bandwidth. I told you.
Hey man, they don't want us to be great, but you know what? That just means we're doing something good. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, we're going to still get the information out. So,
100%.
how can people contact you? Because you said several times that you actually do speaking engagements. So,
Yes.
how can people contact? What's the best way? We have your information floating at the bottom, but what's the best out of all the information? What is the best way to contact you for speaking engagements? If people want to volunteer their time, make donations, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
So the best way to reach me is that email down there. I definitely respond. I do my best to respond to all the emails. That's the first thing. The second thing is Instagram, as you can see, the D.E.N.LLC.
Okay.
So we have PayPal. The PayPal is the email itself if you want to do a financial donation. We also have Cash App. That's $ the D.E.N. But yes, I would love to speak more. I'm not even worried about the financial aspect, but I definitely want to get the face out there. I want to speak more. So if you need me to come and speak, I'm willing. I'm ready. I've been running for a long time, if I'm honest, you know what I'm saying? But I know where I need to be. And this year is my year. I keep saying it's my winning season. And I want to help dads. I want to help dads win this year too. I want to be able to get the D.E.N out there. I want to make it to where it's actually up and running. And by the end of the year, I have crazy faith. I really have crazy faith.
You must have read the book for the month.
Look.
Did you read the? He said it's only crazy faith until it's done or accomplished. Yeah, that's the book for the month. I went and bought it, and I got to finish reading it.
Man, I got crazy faith. I'm expecting to have my building by the 1st of December. I'm going to claim it. I'm going to call it. I'm going to have an event center for the D.E.N the 1st of December on my daughter's birthday. I'm telling you, I'm going to put it out there. On my daughter's birthday.
All right.
It's going to happen.
Look, I'm going to touch and agree with you. And you know what? Before we end, let's go back for a quick moment because you mentioned the grant. Can you talk a little bit about the process that you went through for the grant?
Man, so this networking, man. I told you guys, just being in whatever fraternity that you're a part of, make sure you use those guys and you talk to them. I had the opportunity to meet a guy, and I told him what my vision was, and then this goes back to that story. He challenged me. He was like, "Man, listen, I want to help you up. I want to be a part of the D.E.N, but I need $1,650 to do it, to start your grant, and I need you to write some literature about the D.E.N." You know what I'm saying? So I gave him my vision. I gave him my motto. I gave him my purpose. You really got to write a business plan on how you're going to attract money, how you're going to keep money flow, keep the doors open and stuff like that. So you got to really sit down, think about, strategically plan what is it that you're doing. In order to get a grant, you cannot miss anything. So you got to be able to just say, hey, this is what I want to do by this time. I want to do this, and this. This is what I need it for. And one of my brothers, man, he showed up on a Tuesday, on Taco Tuesday that we have every Tuesday. And he told me, he said, man, I got something for you. I said, what? He said, man, yeah, I got something for you. I said, man, what you talking about? He asked me, was I coming Taco Tuesday? I went to Taco Tuesday and enjoyed it with my brothers. And he said, yeah, I've been watching you. He said, man, I like what you're doing. He said, I believe in you. He said, and this is that crazy faith I'm telling you about. It's that crazy faith I'm telling you about. He said, man, you know what? Boom, here you go. Count it. I said, what? I said, nah, man, don't do this. Don't do this. He said, count it. And sure enough, $1,650 was in that envelope. And I turned it in the very next day to get my grant started. That's gonna, yeah.
That is a blessing.
Man, brought me to my knees. What? Talk about crying.
But you know what? Someone told me that you get more views than likes, right?
100%.
And you never know who's watching.
100%.
Right. And that's why he said, I've been watching you. A lot of times people are not going to invest right off, right? Yeah. They want to make sure, they want to see that if your heart is really in it, if you're going to put in the work before they put in the dollars, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people, I tell my kids that all the time, you never know who's watching. That is a blessing.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
That is a blessing.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I think, man. I always tell people, if you continue to do good, man, continue to put good things out there, man, you'll be okay. I think, Lord just gave me the opportunity just to receive that blessing because I was so obedient. At the beginning of the year, my guys, we went to a restaurant and we did a shock initiative, and we ate there and we fellowshiped.
I saw this.
Yes, and we gave.
Tell about it, but I saw this. Yeah, tell about it. This was good. Yeah.
All right. So what happened was I saw this on Facebook, and I said I reached out to my guys. Hey guys, we got to do this. So we went to this restaurant. I think it was it's off of Main Street. I can't think of the name.
I can't remember the name, but yeah.
But we went there. We ate, and we had a waitress and whatnot. And so all of us brought like $50 to $100 and stuff like that, and we ate. And we paid for our food, and we tipped her the $1,500. She came up with something like almost $800 in tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was great, man. So it's just what I believe is the more you put out in life, the more you receive. We always talk about that, right? You got to give in order to receive.
Right.
And so that's my thing is it's not about a financial thing for me. I'm giving this service to men is because I'm trying to receive something from them. You know what I'm saying? So that I can see them being happy. I can cut down the suicide that plagues our Black men, that takes away, that soften the blow from dealing with, the family law side and stuff like that. Right. So this is just me giving myself back because I believe God put me on this earth for a reason.
Right. And, who better to tell the story and to help them than someone who has already been through it. Right. Yeah. You're a walking testimony, right? And they can see that they can overcome their situation because you're standing right in front of them.
Yeah.
And that's so important, right? You got to be a living testimony. And people don't understand that. If you never have gone through it, how can you share it with other people? Right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to interview you. I mean, every time I do these interviews, it just blows my mind because I think I know people until I ask that first question. Tell us about yourself. And I'm like, well, I didn't know that.
Right. Yeah. Man, man, listen, I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. So, hey, man, you see me grow. So, first off, man, I just want to say, I definitely want to say, man, thank you for the opportunity and having the platform to come and speak. Thank you for everybody that tuned in the entire time.
Yeah.
Thank you for everybody. I just want to say shout out to my brothers, my family, my cousins, my friends, everybody that know me. I really appreciate you guys. I just want to say thank you, Miss Tina.
Founder of The D.E.N. And then Dorian said, powerful story.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So Dorian Powell, that's the one. She's a Destiny of Events. That's the one.
Okay.
So reach out to her, Tina. That's
okay. Yeah. Dorian, give me a call. We got to get you on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wes, you hold on. Listen, I want to thank everybody for staying on with us through the drops, through the coming back.
Right.
Thank you for hanging with us because I think the story was so important for us to tell. And this is not going to be the first interview, right? So when you get the building, I want to be there. I want to do a live broadcast. So don't forget about your big sister over here.
I got you.
Okay. Now you hold on. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I'm going to ask again for you to go to our Facebook page, like our Facebook page, but also go to our YouTube. Our YouTube channel is the one that's mostly used by people to see the previous broadcast. Going to ask you to please subscribe so we can, increase our numbers and press the notification bell so it can alert you when new content is available. I am Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and this is True Blue Designs presents the inside perspective We will see you next Wednesday, same time, same place. Good night, everybody.